Chapter 41, Like Vultures and Shags Do. And as one gathereth eggs that are forsaken, have I gathered all the earth. Tanakh. In the echo of my fear and the predatory road ahead, I went to where Bill had made his pitch for a Kenworth Airstream, LSD tent revivals, county fairs, and cattle auctions. Looking out into 220 degrees of open gulf, where the brown, black iron rock could be crumbled under my toes, over the edge of those sandcastle cliffs, out over the blue, freshening sea, to a line of blackness encroaching on the horizon, coming up from the depths of the sea. I lowered my eyes into the white froth of surf rolling beneath, sounding delayed in the liquid acoustical vortexes rolling up the cliffsides. And I, even I, stood with arms spread out, like the vultures and shags do, holding their wings out to dry, in trance with eyes open, offering myself to the omnipresent edge, ready to dive into the air and take flight over the frothy mass around the rocks below. My abstract pounding fear, desperate to generate visions of a smooth hole, and I hoped for that hole to subsume me, and there would be no cliff, no frothing sea. The peculiar spell was broken when a wind came up, and suddenly shifted around, as if to blow me and my tiny bit of mojo over the cliff. I stepped back into the tall grass, my balance wobbly, in a generalized distrust of life, myself, and my sudden fear. My fear was not indistinct and hidden, like it was in the fog hanging over the snow on the playing field. Now my fear was right in front of my face, seeking the edge of fear in blind faith, like Bill seemed unattainably heroic and self-destructive. I could see no edge or end to fear. There was nothing around me I was not afraid of. The cliff, the owner of the squat's return, the volcano, the war criminal, the tom turkey, the road, the trucks. I was afraid of going. I was afraid of staying. I was afraid of running out of money entirely. Afraid of not being able to leave Mexico because I'd lost my tourist card. I was afraid of my own ignorance of everything around me. I was afraid of the heavy footsteps of Coatlicue and all the frightening shit the conquistadors did. I was afraid of El Diablo at Satan's End Ranch. I was afraid of Bill going crazy and taking his Hubertus to me, which I was also afraid of, along with its SS man's frozen corpse. I was afraid of Mexico, afraid of being a gringo, afraid of Texas, afraid of the border. I was afraid of Buffalo and a return to the gray urban hate, afraid of the interstate system, afraid of the thorns in the bushes and the snakes and chiggers. I was afraid of what was under the rocks. I was afraid of everything I could think of, except, in short moments, I was not afraid of the sea or the war criminals' Alsatians, the two most overtly dangerous things around. For these I felt simpatico with in momentary bursts, and these small, spiked islands of touchy-feely tranquility only made me realize how vast my fear was. My fear felt like a corruption that needed to be rectified. By blood, Bill thought. Purification by blood. What a strange and frightening idea. In all this blood and fright, I recalled how John told Fayaway and me that the Aztecs took adolescent boys as tax on their vassals, that they'd put them in cages and fatten them up, drag them to the tops of their temples, ritually sodomize them, and cut their hearts out. The priests doing the cutting and screwing haunted the outskirts of town at night, naked, long fingernails, uncut hair caked in human blood, always tripping, teenaged hearts their only food. The helpers would throw the heartless bodies down from the temple tops, tenderizing the meat by bouncing it down the steep stone steps. The bodies would be collected. Hands, thighs, and butts would be sold in the market. Skulls put on skull racks at the outskirts of town. The rest would go to their extensive zoos, aviaries, and serpentariums. He also told me that the Spaniards lost their shit at night in the final assault on the causeways of Mexico City, when they saw their friends being dragged to the well-lit temple tops to have their hearts cut out where they couldn't help them. The trembling Catholic priests got out their beads and books, and there was a war of mojo, which the terrified Catholics lost, even if the sharpened steel and smallpox won in the end. And finally I remembered we rode a Catholic bus to get into this fearful mojo predicament in the first place. I walked back in defeat to my trickster boy preacher, head down, watching my feet walk in regret that my steps were so tentative. The day intensified into a drama outside of Bill and I. Out of the oblique black line on the horizon, a gnarlement of sky eventually evolved, rising and growing darker and more turbulent. It was coming upon us. As the sun dropped into the volcano, enormous churning clouds ascended from the southeast over the sea, and down off the theater of view, over the cliff, past my reclining legs, below my heels. We stared into gnarly clouds, like the darkness of hell coming at us over the sea. 20 miles out, flashes of white light, a battle of Midway was brewing in the approaching black cumulus vapors. Electric kamikaze bolts illuminated the cloud contours, and then the return rumble. Ghost ships belching shells as big as Volkswagens, closing slowly towards us. Until there, over on the lunar spires and the mirror lunar dunes, a flash, a tree of life. Flash in the lingering ultraviolet blue-lit electricity. The pattern of my own placenta. A map of the multiverse, tattooed on the inside of my eyelids. Printed there by a crackling and a boom. The voice of the universal monad. And I instantaneously believed in the awe of the fear that boom impersonated, unshakably. The bolt, the boom, the lightning whitening the raindrops. It all struck down to the base of my mind's own dick, showing me what change can be, how it can come, making a hollowness and concavity in my stomach, contracting my whole vaginal penis apparatus into a divine gawking dread, blinded for a while in all the whiteness, and the bigness, and the oneness, and the singular origin and source of all that was banged out of that first big bang, propagated by all of us little repercussions coming after it, off into the boom echo, traveling away from us, off into the quiet. As the echo made the rounds on the volcano, all the resounding disappeared slowly into a growing heavy rain.